Hare Krishna. Here we start with the chapter 1 of Bhagwad Gita, which is observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So, in first words, Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So, Bhagavad Gita is the widely read theistic science summarized in the Gita Mahatmya. One should read Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly with the help of a person who is a devotee of Sri Krishna and try to understand it without personally motivated interpretation. The example of clear understanding is that in the Bhagavad Gita itself, in the way the teaching is understood by Arjun, who heard the Gita directly from the Lord. It is the perfect theistic science because it is directly spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. The word Dharma Kshetra, a place where religious rituals are performed, is significant because on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present on the side of Arjun. Dhritarashtra, the father of the Kurus, was highly doubtful about the possibility of his son's ultimate victory. In his doubt, he inquired from his secretary Sanjay, what did they do? He was confident that both his sons and the sons of his younger brother Pandu were assembled in that field of Kurukshetra for a determined engagement of the war. Still, his inquiry is significant. He did not want a compromise between the cousins and brothers, and he wanted to be sure of the fate of his sons on the battlefield. Sanjay was a student of Vyas, and therefore, by the mercy of Vyas, Sanjay was able to envision the battlefield of Kurukshetra even while he was in the room of Dhritarashtra. And so Dhritarashtra asked him about the situation on the battlefield. Both the Pandavas and the sons of Dhritarashtra belong to the same family, but Dhritarashtra's mind is disclosed herein. He deliberately claimed only his sons as Kurus and he separated the sons of Pandu from the family heritage. One can thus understand the specific position of Dhritarashtra in his relationship with his nephews, the son of Pandu. In reply, Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. Unfortunately, he was also bereft of spiritual vision. He knew very well that his sons were equally blind in the matter of religion, and he was sure that they could never reach an understanding with the Pandavas, who were all pious since birth. Still, he was doubtful about the influence of the place of pilgrimage, and Sanjay could understand his motive in asking about the situation on the battlefield. Sanjay wanted therefore to encourage the respondent king and thus assured him that his sons were not going to make any sort of compromise under the influence of the holy place. Sanjay therefore informed the king that his son Duryodhan, after seeing the military force of the Pandavas, at once went to the commander-in-chief Dronacharya to inform him of the real position. Although Duryodhan is mentioned as the king, he still had to go to the commander on account of the seriousness of the situation. He was therefore quite fit to be a politician. But Duryodhan's diplomatic veneer could not disguise the fear he felt when he saw the military arrangement of the Pandavas. So Duryodhan told to Dronacharya that, O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupad. Dronacharya had some political quarrel with King Drupad, the father of Draupadi, who was Arjun's wife. As a result of this quarrel, Drupad performed a great sacrifice by which he received the benediction of having a son who would be able to kill Dronacharya. Dronacharya knew this perfectly well, and yet, as a liberal Brahman, he did not hesitate to impart all his military secrets when the son of Drupad, Drushtadumna, was entrusted to him for military education. Now, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Drushtadumna took the side of the Pandavas. It was he who arranged for the military phalanx, after having learned the art from Dronacharya. Duryodhan pointed out this mistake of Dronacharya so that he might be alert and uncompromising in the fighting. By this, he wanted to point out also that he should not be similarly lenient in battle against the Pandavas, who were also Dronacharya's affectionate students. Arjun especially was his most affectionate and brilliant student. Duryodhan also warned that such leniency in the fight would lead to defeat. In this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhim and Arjun, great fighters like Yuyudhan, Virat and Drupad. Even though Drishtadyumna was not a very important obstacle in the face of Dronacharya's very great power in the military art, there were many others who were causes of fear. He knew the strength of Bhim and Arjun and thus he compared the others with them. There are also great, heroic, powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Kitan, Raj, Purujit, Kunti, Bhoj, and Saibya. There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamaja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. But for your information, O best of the Brahmins, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. Duryodhan told this to Dronacharya and added that there are personalities like you, Dronacharya, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Aswathama, Vikana, and the son of Somadat called Burishrava, who are always victorious in battle. Duryodhan mentions the exceptional heroes in the battle, all of whom are ever victorious. Vikana is the brother of Duryodhan, Aswathama is the son of Dronacharya, and Somadati or Burishrava is the son of the king of Balikas. Karna is the half brother of Arjun as he was born of Kunti before her marriage with King Pandu. Kripacharya's twin sister married Dronacharya. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons and all are experienced in military science. As far as the others are concerned, like Jayadratha, Kritvarma, and Salya, all are determined to lay down their lives for Duryodhan's sake. In other words, it is already concluded that all of them would die in the battle of Kurukshetra for joining the party of the sinful Duryodhan. Duryodhan was of course confident of his victory on account of the above mentioned combined strength of his friends. Duryodhan added that our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas carefully protected by Bhim is limited. Herein an estimation of comparative strength is made by Duryodhan. He thinks that the strength of his armed forces is immeasurable, being specifically protected by the most experienced general, grandfather Bhishma. On the other hand, the forces of the Pandavas are limited, being protected by a less experienced general, Bhim, who is like a fig in the presence of Bhishma. He was confident of his victory on account of the presence of Bhishma, who was a far superior general. His conclusion that he would come out of the battle victorious was well ascertained. All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Duryodhan, after praising the prose of Bhishma, further considered that others might think that they had been considered less important, so in his usual diplomatic way, he tried to adjust the situation in the above words. He emphasized that Bhishmadev was undoubtedly the greatest hero, but he was an old man, so everyone must especially think of his protection from all sides. He might become engaged in the fight, and the enemy might take advantage of his full engagement on one side. It was important that other heroes not leave their strategic positions and allow the enemy to break the phalanx. Duryodhan clearly felt that the victory of the Kurus depended on the presence of Bhishmadev. He was confident of the full support of Bhishmadev and Dronacharya in the battle because he well knew that they did not even speak a word when Arjun's wife Draupadi, in her helpless condition, had appealed to them for justice while she was being forced to appear naked in the presence of all the great generals in the assembly. Although he knew that the two generals had some sort of affection for the Pandavas, he hoped that these generals would now completely give it up as they had done during the gambling performances. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion. giving Duryodhan joy. The grandsire of the Kuru dynasty could understand the inner meaning of the heart of his grandson Duryodhan, and out of his natural compassion for him, he tried to cheer him by blowing his conch shell very loudly, befitting his position as a lion. Indirectly, by the symbolism of the conch shell, he informed his depressed grandson Duryodhan that he had no chance of victory in the battle because the Supreme Lord Krishna was on the other side. Still, it was his duty to conduct the fight, and no pains would be spared in that connection. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjun, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded that transcendental conch shells. In contrast with the conch shell blown by Bhishmadev, the conch shells in the hands of Krishna and Arjuna are described as transcendental. The sounding of the transcendental conch shells indicated that there was no hope of victory for the other side because Krishna was on the side of the Pandavas. And whenever and wherever the Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is also there because the goddess of fortune never lives alone without her husband. Besides that, the chariot on which both the friends were seated had been donated by Agni, the fire god, to Arjun, and this indicated that this chariot was capable of conquering all sides wherever it was drawn over the three worlds. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjun blew his the Devdutt, and Bhim, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Pondra. Here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Lord directly controls the transcendental senses of Arjun and thus his particular name of Rishikesh. The Lord has different name according to his different activities. His name is Madhusudan because he killed the demon of the name Madhu. His name is Govind because he gives pleasure to the cows and to the senses. His name is Vasudev because he appeared as the son of Vasudeva. His name is Devaki Nandan because he accepted Devaki as his mother. His name is Yashodanandan because he awarded his childhood pastimes to Yashoda at Vrindavan. His name is Parth Sarthi because he worked as charioteer of his friend Arjun. And his name is Rishikesh because he gave direction to Arjun on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. King Yudhishthir, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijay, and the Nakul and Sadhya blew the Sughosh and Manipushpak. Great Archer, the king of Kasi, the great fighter Sikhandi, Drishtadumna, Virat, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupad, the sons of Draupadi, and the others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. The blowing of these different conch shells became unodious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. In this particular verse, it is mentioned that the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered by the sounds vibrated by the Pandavas' party. This is due to the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. At that time, Arjun, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjun then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. The battle was just about to begin. It is understood from the above statement that the sons of Dhritarashtra were more or less disheartened by the unexpected arrangement of military force by the Pandavas, who were guided by the direct instructions of Lord Krishna on the battlefield. The emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjun is another sign of victory because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Ram in the battle between Ram and Ravan, and Lord Ram emerged victorious. Now, both Ram and Hanuman were present on the chariot of Arjun to help him. Lord Krishna is Ram himself, and whenever Lord Ram is his eternal servitor, Hanuman and his eternal consort Sita, the goddess of fortune, are present. Therefore, Arjun had no cause to fear any enemies whatsoever. And above all, the Lord of the senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present to give him direction. Thus, all good counsel was available to Arjun in the matter of executing the battle. In such auspicious conditions, arranged by the Lord for his eternal devotee, lay the signs of assured victory. Arjun said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Although Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy, he was engaged in the service of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees, and thus he is addressed herein as infallible. He had to carry out the orders of Arjun, and since he did not hesitate to do so, he had accepted the position of the charioteer for his devotee. His supreme position was not challenged. He is master, everyone is under his orders, and no one is above him to order him. But when he finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is the infallible master in all circumstances. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjuna had no desire to fight with his cousins and brothers, but he was forced to come on to the battlefield by the obstinacy of Duryodhana, who was never agreeable to any peaceful negotiation. Therefore, he was very anxious to see who the leading persons present on the battlefield were. Although there were no question of peacemaking endeavor on the battlefield, he wanted to see them again and to see how much they were bent upon demanding an unwanted war. Arjuna said to Lord Krishna, Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. It was an open secret that Duryodhana wanted to usurp the kingdom of the Pandavas by evil plans in collaboration with his father Dhritarashtra. Therefore, all persons who had joined the side of Duryodhana must have been birds of the same feather. Arjun wanted to see them on the battlefield before the fight was begun, just to learn who they were, but he had no intention of proposing peace negotiations with them. It was also a fact that he wanted to see them to make an estimate of the strength which he had to face, although he was quite confident of victory because Krishna was sitting by his side. Sanjay said, O descendant of Bharat, having thus been addressed by Arjun, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. In this verse, Arjun is referred to as Gurakesh. Gurak means sleep, and one who conquered sleep is called Gurakesh. Arjun conquered both sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with Krishna. The devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. This is called Krishna consciousness or Samadhi. As Rishikesh, or the director of the senses and mind of every living entity, Krishna could understand Arjun's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. Thus he did so and spoke as follows. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, Just behold, Parth, all the Kurus assemble here. There Arjun could see within the midst of the armies of both the parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers. On the battlefield, Arjun could see all kinds of relatives. He could see persons like Bhurishrava, who were his father's contemporaries, grandfathers Bhishma and Somadat, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Salya and Sakuni, brothers like Duryodhan, sons like Lakshman, friends like Ashwatthama, well-wishers like Kritavarma, etc. He could see also the armies which contained many of his friends. When the son of Kunti, Arjun, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. Arjun said, My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. Any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly persons and or in the demigods. Whereas the non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. As far as his shoulders were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And while he was so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver and his mouth became dry. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjun. Such symptoms in Arjun were not due to weakness but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. It is said, therefore, one who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods. But one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. Arjun said, "My whole body is trembling, my head is standing on end, my bow Gandeva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning." There are two kinds of trembling of the body and two kinds of standings of the hair on end. Such phenomena occur either in great spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material conditions. There is no fear in transcendental realization. Arjun's symptoms in this situation are out of material fear, namely loss of life. This is evident from other symptoms also. He became so impatient that his famous bow Gandhi was slipping from his hands, and because his heart was burning within him, he was feeling a burning sensation of the skin. All these are due to a material conception of life. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kasi demon. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such a bewildering condition of existence. Arjuna envisioned only painful reverses in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the foe. Arjuna is showing ignorance of his real self-interest by Krishna's will. One's real self-interest lies in Vishnu or Krishna. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains. Arjun thought that his victory in the battle would only be a cause of lamentation for him. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsman in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. O Govind, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Madhusudan, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Arjuna has addressed Lord Krishna as Govind because Krishna is the object of all pleasures for cows and the senses. Govind is not meant for satisfying our senses. If we try to satisfy the sense of Govind, however, then automatically our own senses are satisfied. The Lord will satisfy the senses of the living entities as much as they deserve, but not to the extent that they may covet. But when one takes the opposite way, namely when one tries to satisfy the sins of Govind, without desiring to satisfy one's own senses, then by the grace of Govind, all desires of the living entity are satisfied. Arjun's deep affection for community and family members is exhibited here partly due to his natural compassion for them. He is therefore not prepared to fight. Arjun did not want to kill his relatives, and if there were any need to kill them, he desired that Krishna kill them personally. At this point, he did not know that Krishna had already killed them before their coming into the battlefield, and that he was only to become an instrument for Krishna. The devotee of the Lord does not retaliate against the wrongdoer, but the Lord does not tolerate any mischief done to the devotee by the miscreants. The Lord can excuse a person on his own account, but he excuses no one who has done harm to his devotees. Therefore, the Lord was determined to kill the miscreants, although Arjun wanted to excuse them. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, the husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? According to Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors: a poison giver, one who sets fire to the house, one who attacks with deadly weapons, one who plunders riches, one who occupies another's land, and one who kidnaps a wife. Such aggressors are at once to be killed, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors. Arjun considered that rather than kill his own kinsman for political reasons, it would be better to forgive them on grounds of religion and saintly behavior. He did not therefore consider such killing profitable simply for the matter of temporary bodily happiness. After all, kingdoms and pleasures derived therefrom are not permanent, so why should he risk his life and eternal salvation by killing his own kinsmen? Arjun's addressing of Krishna as mother or the husband of the goddess of fortune is also significant in this connection. He wanted to point out to Krishna that, as the husband of the goddess of fortune, he should not induce Arjun to take up a matter which would ultimately bring about misfortune. Krishna, however, never brings misfortune to anyone, to say nothing of his devotees. O Janardhan, although this man, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin? Kshatriya is not supposed to refuse to battle or gamble when he is so invited by some rival party. Under such an obligation, Arjun could not refuse to fight because he had been challenged by the party of Duryodhan. In this connection, Arjun considered that the other party might be blind to the effects of such a challenge. Arjun, however, could see the evil consequence and could not accept the challenge. Obligation is actually binding when the effect is good, but when the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. Considering all these pros and cons, Arjun decided not to fight. With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. In the system of Varnashram institution, there are many principles of religious traditions to help members of the family grow properly and attain spiritual values. Elder members are responsible for such purifying process in the family, beginning from birth to death. But on the death of elder members, such family traditions of purification may stop, and the remaining younger family members may develop irreligious habits and thereby lose their chance for spiritual salvation. Therefore, for no purpose should the elder members of the family be slain. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become populate, and from the degradation of the womanhood, O descendant of Vishnu, Krishna, of womanhood, comes unwanted progeny. An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. According to the rules and regulations of fruitive activities, there is a need to offer periodical food and water to forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by the worship of Vishnu because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful actions. Sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of sinful reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body and are forced to remain in subtle bodies as ghosts. Thus, when remnants of prasadam food are offered to the forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition, and those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. One who is engaged in the devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of misery. Anyone who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukund, the giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligation and has taken to the path in all seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. Community projects for the four orders of human society combined with family welfare activities as they are set forth by the institution of Sanatan Dharma or Varnashram Dharma are designed to enable the human being to attain his ultimate salvation. Therefore, the breaking of the Sanatan Dharma tradition by irresponsible leaders of society brings about chaos in that society, and consequently people forget the aim of life, Vishnu. Such leaders are called blind, and persons who follow such leaders are sure to be led into chaos. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Arjun bases his argument not on his own personal experience but on what he has heard from the authorities. That is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of factual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. There is a system in the Varnashram institution by which, before that, one has to undergo the process of atonement for his sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of atonement called prashchit. Without doing so, one will be transferred to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as a result of sinful activities. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Driven by selfish motives, one may be inclined to such sinful acts as the killing of one's own brother, father, or mother. There are many such instances in the history of the world, but Arjun, being a saintly devotee of the Lord, is always conscious of moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. It is the custom according to Kshatriya fighting principles that an unarmed and unwilling foe should not be attacked. Arjun, however, decided that even if attacked by the enemy in such an awkward position, he would not fight. He did not consider how much the other party was bent upon fighting. All these symptoms are due to soft-heartedness resulting from his being a great devotee of the Lord. Sanjay said, Arjun, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. While observing the situation of his enemy, Arjun stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted with lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows. Such a kind and soft-hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the first chapter of Srimad Bhagwad Gita in the matter of observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So, this was the chapter 1 of Bhagwad Gita. Please comment down if you like the Bhagwad Gita chapter 1 in English form. Also comment down if you would like to hear chapter 2 in English form. Please subscribe our channel for the updates. And also please share this to your friends and relatives. Hare Krishna.